Welcome to the Guy Pie Podcast, featuring Anthony, Chris, John, Sean, and Mark. This is a weekly podcast where five guys come together to make the ultimate conversational pie about the games they are currently playing.
Welcome to the Guy Pie Podcast. I'm Chris. Joining me is Anthony.
Hey.
Mark.
Howdy.
And the Banana Man.
So I got the PSVR 3, and I'm playing Banana on it. It's awesome.
Bananas.
Yeah,
Do you
guys
click it
should
with
check
your
it out.
eyes?
Yeah, like I can see the banana. I just wink. I blink at it, and it just clicks it.
How is the
kinda
haptic feedback for the bananas? Like, do you feel the peel?
Like every 10 seconds, it feels like it's going in my mouth. So
Nice.
Sean would love that in his mouth.
Speaking of Sean, he couldn't be here today because he's off in Fan Expo land having a good time. All right, let's get into it. We'll start off today with Black Myth Wukong, a game that is crushing it right now in sales. It's already past 10 million sales. And then I think it's like the second most concurrently played game on Steam right now, obviously after CSGO. I've been having a blast with this game. It is fucking super dope. I would not call it a Souls-like, because like when you die there isn't really any form of punishment. The only punishment per se is when you use potions in the battles and you die, like it still counts you using the potion. So it's not it it reverts you back to like your spawn point, but like it saves as if you lost like the potions. But like that's literally super minimal. The combat's really fluid. It feels kind of more like a God of War Stellar Blade kind of game. There is no parry mechanic. There technically is. It's a spell you can learn, but I opted to... So like in the spell slot, you can either... Currently right now I could use Turn Invisible or use the parry. And like the invisibility is just super clutch for healing in like tricky situations. One of the cool things is there's different types of bosses you can fight. Like you'll fight your big bosses, like the story bosses. You'll fight like hidden bosses. Like the smaller bosses, you can get as forms that you transform into. So like think Elden Ring, like how you have the ashes that you summon. Instead of you summoning something to help you, you then become that thing. So like the one I use a lot right now is this like big, almost like gigantic baby like creature, and like I turn into it and I just do a headbutt attack that just massive damage. It's like the boss variety, like I really appreciate the art design. Like obviously I won't go into like the types of bosses you fight, because Mark, you're planning on picking up the game, and like the best experience with the game is just trekking through to see what the next boss is. I will say I've seen people kind of call it they call it like a boss rush game, which I think is fair in the early portions of the game, because like the very early portions are very linear. As you go forward, it opens up a bit more. It's not like open world, but like there's like sections you can divide off into and just find hidden things. So there is some fun in exploration. In like the second and third chapters on, it starts to get like increase more. I'm on the 5th chapter right now, I think. Yeah. I will say the one thing that sucks about wanting to explore, that hurts wanting to explore, is there's no map in this game. So it's like you have to go strictly based off like memory. Like there are a generous amount of teleport points, kind of like campfires in like a Souls game, John, for example. Like you can use those as fast travel points. You can use those to craft. You can use those to buy stuff. No, I'm really impressed with the systems I've implemented into the game. Like it has sort of like gear quality systems. So Anthony, Mark, John, think Destiny. You've got like blue, green, purple, yellow, and then red is like top tier. early on in the game, you'll find really dope sets, and I was kind of bummed at first because like I like this set, but it's immediately getting outclassed. At a certain point in the story, you unlock the ability to upgrade those to the highest point. So like you can take a low level piece of armor and make it godly toward the end of it. So while it doesn't have transmog, you're able to like level up the gear with you, which is really dope. But yeah, I really enjoy the whole sense of the excitement of leading toward next boss, what I get from next boss, because sometimes you'll get material to make a weapon, sometimes it's material to make armor, and sometimes it's just like a new summon or something like that. But yeah, the gameplay is extremely fluid, and I find myself often when I'm playing this game, I'll be like, oh, I gotta go to the bathroom, but like, I just got to this boss. I'm just, all right, I want to fight this boss. Then I'll get killed by the boss. They're like, okay, I'll go to the bathroom. But they're like, no, but like, it's still fresh in my mind right now. So I'll just give it like another go. There was like literally one point where I did that for a half an hour. And I'm like, I really got to go to the fucking bathroom.
Welcome to the ADHD life. That's what it's like for us all the time.
But yeah, it's super addicting. Mark, you're definitely gonna have a good time with this game for sure. The opening alone, I think, will put a huge smile on your face, as it did for me.
Nice.
Mark, so what are your thoughts? You're obviously finishing Lego Star Wars, which we'll talk about later. Well, where's your excitement at for this game?
Honestly, I'm really excited. The moment, cause like I drafted it last year's draft, but it got pushed to this year, and I was really excited for it then. So just hearing you talk about it now has only further increased my excitement. And like as you said, I've heard really good things across the board from pretty much everybody. Like everybody, there's going to be some negatives, obviously, but everybody, that nothing's perfect, and some people are going to gripe about anything. So whatever. But I do like just really like kind of like that mythology that Wukong is in. So like being able to explore through that world and like play as sort of like in that setting, I think will be a lot of fun. And just like a nice good walk around, like even like a boss rush, that sounds pretty fun to me. Just like one big bad, get some upgrades going, next big bad, that does sound like a pretty fun. And I'm sure there, as you're saying too, as the game progresses, it gets farther, the bosses get farther in between, some probably more exploring, leveling up. Yeah, I'm sure like the visuals in it are going to be great. Story, I'm going to definitely dive right into. Yeah, it's been on my list for over a year, and I'm really happy that it's out now, so I can finally experience it. And pretty much, I think I'm going to try and finish Lego Star Wars Platinum tonight, regardless of how long it takes me, just so I can get to start playing this game.
See, I respect that. You know, you gotta see the job through before you start the next one. I respect that. I think one of the cool things that would probably like entice somebody like you, Anthony. So some boss fights similar to a Souls-like game will have like two separate fights, like two forms. From my personal experience, because I'm currently stuck on one of those bosses right now, is I beat like the first one. I'm in like the second one. He killed me, and I'm like, fuck, I gotta go do that first one all over again. I went to the boss fight, and I was just straight into the second half of the fight. It removes the first half from the equation, so like it takes some weight off your shoulders, and you're like, okay, I just gotta deal with this second half right now. And one of the best things about it is, you know how most games when you go to fight a boss over and over again, skip a cutscene over and over again. It just shows you it the first time, and then every time you go back there, the boss is just chilling, waiting for the next round. It's just like ready to go. Yeah,
that's nice. That's nice.
So I'm gonna throw it to Anthony next, just because like I'm kind of curious where you're thinking at with this game, because like from what I've said, how it's not so much as a Souls-like and it's more action combat like.
Yeah, it definitely intrigues me enough to put it on my wish list for like sale season. I'd be willing to give it a chance. I think I'm at the point where at a decent sale price, I'd be willing to give it a chance. So even saying that though, I'm still. It's more of like I'll have to, now that I know I'm willing to try it at some point, I'll have to kind of wait and see how I feel at that point. Because one thing I'll say about like Stellar Blade being, I think, somewhat comparable to this, what you're describing with this game, is a lot of what kept me through the tough times in that game, because I'm not the greatest at those games, was the aesthetic of the main character and it being a attractive character with all these, outfits you can unlock. Like that was a driving force to be like, okay, I'm gonna keep fighting this boss so I can get further and unlock sexier outfits. This is like a monkey man, right? So that drive part isn't there. So it'll have to be made up in some other form. And I mean, this game visually does look really good, and some of the transformations look really cool. So that could fit the bill of like, the cool factor keeps me playing, maybe. But I am willing to give it a try, just not at the full price point because it's just too risky. Because I could spend $50 on it on sale, play it for 3 hours, and go, it's not for me. And I can't risk that at like $100 price point. But
no, that's fair.
Definitely going on the wish list though, because everything I've heard does sound pretty cool.
I just want to address something real quick. Are you saying a monkey man can't be sexy? That is outrageous. Like, you know what they're known for eating? Bananas. So, I'm just saying.
Is it a female monkey man?
I mean, I don't want to assume gender, but
I'll assume everyone's gender.
All right, John, what are your thoughts on Black Myth Wukong?
This podcast is getting risky. So yeah, that particular mythology, I believe, was the inspiration for Goku in Dragon Ball.
Yes. It's another name for him, Son Goku.
Yeah. Anyways, I like the idea of the game. I want the game. I will get it. Probably next month is what I'm thinking. I've seen too much, I feel like, because I'm on TikTok, like, too much, I guess. It looks cool. The whole thing about the no map thing, Chris, kind of like akin to like original like Souls games where there's just no map. Elden Ring kind of spoiled us with the map, but I mean it was open world, so you kind of need it. Yeah, action packed. It looks pretty fun. It looks pretty fluid. Yeah, I'll probably end up getting it next month, and we'll end up talking about it here again. So,
nice. Yeah, I think you'll definitely have a good time with it too. Just like it's been a while since a game kind of surprised me like this. I don't know, like I like going into Stellar Blade later, hearing like your guys' feedback on it, and not really paying too much attention to like the reviews. Like I was genuinely surprised with how fun and just like how much I was enjoying the gameplay. I think one of the biggest things I like is obviously you only have the one weapon and it's your staff. But I think what makes me like it so much is when it came to the Ninja Turtles, Donatello was always my favorite. So I just picture myself as a monkey turtle hybrid, just fucking beating the shit out of people. But yeah. Any final thoughts on Black Myth before we move on?
Just gotta enjoy the Monkey King.
All right, so John, you've been playing a bunch of PSVR 2 games. Tell us about the experience in the VR world.
Well, I want to start off. You know what? No, I'm not going to start off with calling out GameStop. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be the bigger person here. I'm just gonna leave that one alone. Anyways,
did you get the money back or no?
Not yet, man. It's been the weekend. Their customer service doesn't open until Monday, so I'll have to wait until then. But I sent them a very angry email, so that was just the beginning. Like Anthony was saying, I'm gonna get my Karen on. It's gonna happen. I gotta get that money back. That's just ridiculous. But my experience with the PSVR 2 has been really, really good. I like the graphics. I was so used to like the Oculus running off of my computer, so that heavily relies on your specs. This is just like PS5 specs. So I played a little bit of, for example, Resident Evil Village, which is graphically like just amazing. Like you feel like you're in the game. It is terrifying. I do want to talk about a game that I beat yesterday. I didn't fully beat it. I just beat the story. There's a lot you can do in this game, but it is a very short experience. It's Pixel Ripped 1995. And man, I was shocked by this game. It is a cheap game. It's less than $20. And you just feel like you're playing every single genre. Any like genre defining game from like 1995 and just shortly after, it's referenced in this game, and it's just crazy. Like 1 minute I'm playing Zelda, like A Link to the Past. The next minute I'm playing Crash Bandicoot. I'm playing Streets of Rage. I'm playing like, it's so crazy. And the whole time you're playing it is like you're a kid sitting in front of his TV with a game controller in your hand. So like it's not like you're grabbing things, and no, you're just sitting there with a game controller in your hand and you're controlling this character on your screen, and it is so cool. They do incorporate some like VR movement. So for example, you're in an arcade in a competition with a bunch of people playing like a Streets of Rage type game, and you could see the other people at like different arcade cabinets, and what'll happen is you'll be in the middle of like competing, and all of a sudden these goblins start coming out of the other cabinets, and they'll possess the other players, and they'll come after your cabinet, start hitting it. So you'll have to pick up this little like pistol, like Nerf gun you have, and shoot the goblins as you're playing Streets of Rage. It's so crazy, but it's so good. I was so impressed. Even for a short experience, well worth the $20. It was crazy. Another game I played, I did like the vacation simulator, the toys basically for your VR, just to kind of check them out. Pretty fun, pretty intuitive. The PSVR 2, I find a lot of the games are designed at like room scale, so like you actually have to like move around your entire room to like actually get the full experience of the game. Kind of disappointed with that, especially with Vacation Simulator, I think it was. Like I actually had to like turn around and like walk backwards to like grab something and then walk for that I kind of wasn't okay with, but yeah, it's been a blast. I like the design. I like the way it fits. Like it fits over my glasses, not like my Oculus. I even with the extension, like I tried to put it on over my glasses and it would not. Like there was some contact with the lenses, and it kind of like I was like, oh, don't want that. But this one fits nice. I can see very well, and yeah, I'm having a blast with it.
Nice. Did you end up picking up the adapter for it?
Not yet. That's next up. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Nice. I mean, well, if you get that money back, that covers some of that, and covers Black Myth as well.
Yep, that was the
plan. Mark, have you been playing any VR stuff lately?
No, just there's so many games out right now where it's just like I do want to play it, but you only have so many hours in a day, and it's really hard. But like that one game John was just talking about, that does sound like a lot of fun. So I may try and pick up my VR again soon. We'll see. The one thing though, like for the room scale thing, like I've had a few games that were like room scale, but I just sit in a chair and then I usually don't have any problem with it. So I don't know if it's just specifically those games you were playing, or
yeah, it's just like
if I'm just
there'll
like
be
a
something.
supreme
There'll be
hacker.
something that I'm sitting down, right, and there'll be something behind me. I actually have to like twist my body awkwardly and like grab behind me or something because you can't turn in these games. So.
Oh, okay, yeah. I've never played. I have like all the games I've played. You can turn very, very easily in. So I don't know, but the PSVR 2 though is like I have thoroughly enjoyed every game that I've played on it. There are some that I still kind of think about going back to every now and again. So yeah, like if you're not a really big fan of shooters, right, John?
If it's in VR, I am.
So then you probably want to try Pavlov because it's like Call of Duty esque type stuff, and like I played it a while ago and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's next up on my VR list is Pavlov.
Yeah, but the PSVR 2 is very, very good. Like it's leaps and bounds over the PSVR 1. I enjoyed my PSVR 1, but holy shit, is the PSVR 2 so much superior than it was to the 1. The only thing I liked more about the 1 is like from one of the pods we did a while ago, that one gun controller I showed you guys. That like was specifically made for one game, then they adapted it into a couple other ones as well. That was the only thing from the PSVR 1 that I still find to be a kind of like superior feel for when you're playing those like shooter games, because like you do have that like rifle sort of holding feel. But yeah, overall, PSVR 2 is really great. I don't regret my purchase of it at all, and I'm looking forward to being able to get some more time to spend in it again soon.
Nice. Anthony, where are you at with like PSVR 2? I know it's not something you're thinking of picking up, but like you've tried it before at your place. Like, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, it doesn't really interest me. I mean, some of the gameplay I've seen, like footage of some games, like that one something sorcery game I think you played, Mark, at one point. It was like some medieval looking game. I think you could get like Thor's hammer in it or something.
Oh yeah. It's not Sword and Sorcery. That's not on the PSVR, but Legendary Tale, I think it's called.
That was it. Yeah, I mean something like that looks kind of cool. But the thing is, I could only see myself. I'd probably try it for an evening and be like, yeah, that was cool, and then I would kind of just move on from it. You know, it's
one thing I will say is like for some people, VR is just a novelty thing. So like it all depends on your personality. For me, I just love new technology and shit like that. So anytime I can experience it more, I'm all for it. But like some people, it's just a novelty thing. It's nice to try out once or twice, but then it's like it's not really their thing.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and I'm definitely tech wise, I'm a very late adopter. This generation was really the first one I came into the PS5. Like, I got a PS5 as close to launch as I could, like while they were still unavailable. This is the first time. Every generation, any gaming, any tech, like phones, like when I buy a new phone, it's like 2 models old. You know, like I intentionally buy the older phone. So like, yeah, tech wise, I'm not that guy in general. So, but you know, one day I think if I'd probably lean more towards the PC route, but I do see a time where when I am putting the money down to have like a solid PC, that I probably would eventually want to pick up one of the PC ones, like the one you mentioned, John. What would you say it was called?
Oculus.
Pixel Ripped.
No, like the VR headset.
The thing itself.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's like the Oculus and Quest and stuff.
Or Meta Quest now, yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably lean more towards one of those. But this could be like a year or two from now, so who knows? It could PSVR 2 with this adapter, who knows? That maybe that could take a good portion of the market share by then. That might be the better option. But no, as far as right now in my life, as far as my interests and stuff, and it's just not for me.
Yeah, like as for me, like as we all know, like I sold mine to Sean. Like what Mark literally described earlier, I think was like me. It was like that novelty of when I first got it. It was like, oh, this is super dope. And one of my biggest things I kind of wanted to do with it was like, you know how it has that theater mode where you could play your regular PS4 or PS5 games. In concept, I was like, oh, this would be dope. But I remember, I think it was the one night when I first got it, me and Anthony were going to play Destiny. I'm like, oh, I'm going to play in theater mode. I'll crack a beer. And then I realized how awkward that is because, like, I've got like the headset on, like, go to grab a beer, and I just hear a click, and I'm just like, okay, no, this this does not work out the way I thought it would work out. But no, I had some good times with it. Like Beat Saber was definitely a blast. I liked the air guitar game. That's just basically like Guitar Hero, but you make like the motions. Like the kayaking game was beautiful. It was just cool to see like everything there. Horizon was dope. Like Horizon is a game I just can't believe how good they made it look in VR. Like that game looks freaking phenomenal. And then
that's the one that
Evil.
sold me my VR.
Yeah. See, yeah, if anything good came from my VR was I convinced Mark to buy one, and then Sean ended up getting one for cheap. So.
Yet again, you managed to get me to buy something that I was not planning on buying originally.
In reality, the reason Chris sold his PSVR 2 is because it had my sweat all over it.
Well, I would have like put it in a box, but like then it would just sat there, you know, and just like the sweat would have transformed and become like some type of symbiote. You know, I gotta get my headset back from Sean. I'll be right back.
We are John.
Just think of how much DNA it probably has on it now.
Just like it makes me do horrible things. Cut to like me like in a room just playing banana. Just like, oh my god. All right.
What have I done?
Any final thoughts on PSVR 2?
Get it. Put it in your mouth.
Put it in your virtual mouth, not your real mouth.
Yeah.
Or
All
both.
right. Anthony, you've been playing Warframe. Tell us about it.
Yeah, there's this game. It's very warlike with frames, and John Frame is the main character. John Frame is the villain. Tom Frame is he likes trains. No, okay. So after playing the first Ascendant, I really had a good time with it. The grind was definitely a bit soulless, like as a lot of us were saying that played it. But I'm really good at soulless grinds. But I kind of dropped off, more, new games, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, oh, I'm going to go back. I was in the mood. I'm like, I'm going to go back and boot it up and play a little bit more. And I think with the whole thing going on with Bungie right now and Destiny, a lot of like the media or content creators for that main Destiny have been like branching out right now, just with all the negative stuff, right? And I think that's what was prompting it. But I was seeing a lot of Warframe stuff on my social media stuff, and coincidentally, one of the Twitch guys I watch sometimes that does Bungie Destiny stuff started playing Warframe. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to give it a go because I tried it before and it was very daunting. It's very overwhelming. Like it's a 10-year-old game, right? There's so much content. There's so many systems. It was just, I was like, I can't do this. It was when I was playing Destiny and it was like a slow time a couple years ago. And I gave it a try. It didn't work out. But now I'm like, First Ascendant, a lot of that game is literally just ripped from Warframe. Like it's to a T, basically. So I'm like, okay, I was able to learn that game because there's like not much there. So it wasn't very overwhelming. So I now went into Warframe with an understanding on the leveling systems, the progression, how the weapons work, the modding systems, all that stuff. So the only daunting part now is just learning like what's good and playing through the story. And there's some stuff that this game has that First Ascendant doesn't. Like the whole melee weapon system in this game is awesome. I actually found myself a lot of times in the early game where everything is fairly easy to kill. I would just be running around with, like, I run around where I have, when you first use your melee weapon, anytime you're not swinging it, you put it back. If it was the last weapon you used, when you're not in combat, you always have one hand on your, on the weapon and your other hand like this. So you're just like, and then you like put it back. And I would just constantly run around, and then I would do the thing where I slide, and I would like twirl and do like a whirlwind with my sword. It was awesome. Like I didn't realize I know how fast paced the combat in this game was at the end game because I've seen a lot of clips. And when you see those clips, it almost looks overwhelming if you try to process like what's happening, or like if you were doing that right now, you'd be like, what am I even doing? but I now understand like you build off because the movement in this game is like just as big in the combat as the weapons themselves. And yeah, so I've been playing through this, going from planet to planet, playing through some of the story, doing some of the side stuff. It's completely free to play as well. All the content in the game completely free. There's just like cosmetics you can get for the different warframes. You can outright buy new warframes if you want. It does have a similar research system like First Ascendant did, where when you get all the things to items to craft, basically a new, let's say, warframe in this case, you craft it and then it takes so many hours. In this game, actually, I think it's like 72 hours for a warframe. Some things are lower, like there's weapons that take like 8 hours, 12 hours. But the warframe specifically, I think there's 72 hours, which is a bit crazy, but it is, like I said, it is completely free, which is actually kind of crazy to me. Like 10 years worth of content, just completely free. I've been having fun with it. I don't know if I'll take it to the end game, but we'll see. There's still a lot I don't know either. Like what I carried over from the First Ascendant really just got me in the door, because yeah, there's just a lot. There's like I just learned there's like a clan. If you join a clan, there's a dojo where there's a vendor that you can craft weapons and warframes that can only be made in there. So I joined a clan to gain access to that. And yeah, the story, I'm like, for the first time in a while for a game online, games as a service, whatever, I'm like, I'm going to pay attention to the story. And so far, it's actually been really good. I went to this planet. It was almost like a slave labor planet, and I ended up helping this girl through some turn of events. Ended up helping this girl kind of liberate all these slaves. Like they own the debt from all these people. It was like inherited debt. Like this one guy I helped, his parents had a bunch of debt to this like conglomerate, and they died, and he just inherited the debt. So he is out the gate, just had no life. He was just like a slave on this planet, paying off his parents' debt and shit. So yeah, the story is really good. Everything that I liked about the First Ascendant, I find this game does better. The only difference is the First Ascendant has booty and boobs, like for the taking. That's really the only thing that First Ascendant has on this game. So I can see myself playing this game long term. I just don't know how frequent, especially come September, because I am planning to kind of take a break for the month. So, but yeah, I definitely recommend it for anyone interested in like games as a service, like ongoing games that aren't actively playing anything right now. Definitely recommend.
Yeah, there were moments in the past where I contemplated playing it, and there are even times I downloaded it and loaded it up, but like each of the times I like opened the game, I like took a couple steps and like, nah, I don't really feel like doing this.
That was basically before I played First Ascendant. I think it was maybe once or twice, but it's the same thing. I maybe played through half of like the intro mission, killed some guys, and I was just like, close, uninstall. Like I was just like, it's not for me. But now yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No worries, no worries. Well, yeah. That being said, I do appreciate the fact that you have access to everything, like in terms of like 10 years of content that they're not charging you for. I do hate the crafting thing of like, especially 72 like hours. Like that's like I get like it's like they want to try to make money somehow, so like they probably like entice you to spend the money to get them crafted quicker. But I hate like things like that kind of just like hit the wall of like the momentum and just kind of like that like as we talked about with First Descendant, that was the thing that I immediately got frustrated with when I was just like, oh dope, I can craft this SMG, and then I'm just like, what the fuck is this shit? And then which I get it's established things for other things, but it is not my style of I like grinding for things, but I don't like that kind of shit.
Yeah. Well, one thing I'm curious too is this game, unlike the first Descendant, and even unlike Destiny, it has trading. So the currency in this game, credits, you can buy things from other players. I'm generally curious how far that goes, because like I'm wondering, like, can I buy a Warframe from somebody, or could I buy a skin that costs I think platinum is the currency, like kind of like silver in Destiny. Like if someone buys a skin with the platinum, could I buy it from that player with credits? I'm not sure how in depth the trading system goes. I am kind of curious though, because if you play enough and you have enough, could you just bypass some of these gates that they implemented? But yeah.
That is a good question. I'm curious what like limits would be on for that. John, like, have you fucked around with Warframe? What are your thoughts on it?
No. I mean, by the time I was interested in Warframe, like Anthony was saying, I felt like I was too late to even get into it. I do know that like it's a notoriously complicated like game, I guess you can say, like with all the different systems involved. I think I'm just gonna wait until Soulframe or whatever. Yeah, Soulframe.
Oh yeah.
Comes out. It's gonna be like a more my style, like medieval fantasy, like Warframe type game, and it'll be fresh, so it'll give me some time to actually like learn the systems and such. And then maybe if I get into that and it's similar in the systems, maybe I'll try out Warframe. But as of right now, I don't really have any interest in it.
Yeah, no, that's fair. It's funny, like I am aware that is a game, but at the same time, like out of context, it almost sounds like you're making up a game. I'm
naming it after me.
But Mark, what are your thoughts on Warframe?
I've seen a billion ads over it over the years, and like it does seem like an interesting game. I'm sure I could get into it for like a week, but it's just one of those things where I have other games that I'd rather be playing, and like I know that like all the time I sink into this game is just going to be for like a straight mindless time kill. So like for me, it's probably going to be a no-go and trying it out. But like it does sound like an interesting game. Like it's cool that it has an interesting story. That would probably be the biggest draw for me personally to trying it out. But yeah, like a lot of those MMO games I'm just not into, especially because as you're saying as well, Chris, like if I have to wait 3 days in order to try out something that I grinded, I'm just going to spend those days forgetting about the game, playing another game.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 days later we'll be playing something completely different. That is fair.
Yeah, I'm trying to think too, like in regards to the story, while I'm enjoying the story, there is some sort of roadblocks in place. Like, so when you finish a story quest, it'll show you like the next story quest and the requirements to unlock it. For example, I need to go from Earth to like Mars or something, but the intergalactic port, like the hyperspeed thing that you would use to blast through with your ship to get there, is like gated, and it's like, oh, complete these requirements to do the Mars transfer thing. So then you have to like complete all these different nodes. So there is still, even with just maining the story, you will at certain points get gated for a little bit before you can progress. Not like a crazy amount. Like when I was on Earth and I had to go to, I think it was Mars or Venus, one of the two. It only took me a couple hours to just go around doing some grindy stuff. But again, that's if you're not into the grind, for the sake of grind. I could see that being upsetting as well, similar to the waiting 72 hours. But yeah, it's been fun. I was gonna say something. It's gone.
Give it 72 hours. Maybe the idea will be crafted in your
research will be completed.
All right.
That Soulframe game. I was looking more into that, John, after you were talking about it, and yeah, that does look. I would definitely be giving that a go for sure when that comes out.
All right. Any final thoughts on Warframe before we move on?
It's fun.
All right. Next up, Mark, you've been sinking more time into Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga. You said your goal is you're aiming to get that platinum done tonight. How's the journey going?
It is possibly one of the easiest games I've ever played in my entire life, and I gotta say, it's a great palate cleanser. Holy shit! It's just like, oh, I'm going into a boss fight. Like, okay, crack your fingers, get ready for it. It's like, no, like, oh, we're going into like a main boss fight, and like, I'm gonna pimp slap the shit out of this guy, not give a shit, and then just look around for my collectibles while I'm fighting him because they are zero threat. All the puzzles are just like nice, easy puzzles. Like sometimes the only thing that doesn't really slow me down the puzzles is like I just don't see, like there'll be like four little targets you have to find. I just won't see the fourth one right away, and like that's the main sort of like difficulty block I've been having for a lot of things. So like it's been a really nice change of pace for just like a lot of the stuff that I was playing before, where it's like, yeah, like you really need to put the time in and learn the game, blah blah blah, this, that, and next. Not Lego Star Wars. Lego Star Wars is like, hey, we're just here to have fun. Like there's 30 collectibles here. If you can see it, there's four, like we have one very clear path to get up there. I've almost never used it. I'm like, that's going to take 15 seconds. I can get up there in 5 with this other character. And then that's what I do. It's like, I'm sure there's a way they want me to do this, but I'm just going to lift C-3PO up with force powers and throw him onto the roof and then get that collectible. And then once I'm up on the roof, then I see the path up. I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I'm good just yeeting the droid up there. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and I think you probably should try it out with Link there, Anthony, because like it's a very easy game to get into. It has some nice silliness in it, and like the combat and everything, it's not too demanding. So like it's a nice kind of like buffer to introduction to a lot of mechanics. It's like beginner mode for like 15 different mechanics you can find in games.
Oh, nice.
So with that recommendation right there, Anthony, what are you thinking on Star Wars, Lego?
Yeah, I think considering my plans for September, like there are some exceptions I think I'll probably end up making over the month. And something sessions with my kid might be one of them. Like so yeah, that does sound right up the alley that I'm looking for to game with him. So I might consider hitting up Sean. He said he had an extra PS5 controller he'd be willing to let me borrow for that, just because my second one, this one here, Crazy Drift. So yeah, I might give that a download, and I mean I could also try it this week because he doesn't go back to school for another week. So maybe I'll get some big sessions in this week, see how he feels. And if he likes it, then I could do like a Tuesday, Thursday session with him after school, or Wednesday, Friday, whatever.
Get him started on that train to destiny.
Yeah.
The train begins now. John, I know you were playing it the other week. Have you still been playing it?
No. I started playing it, and the simplicity of the game, I was just like, it's not it's not for me. I get bored really easily if it's too easy. So I just I think I made it maybe to when you start playing as Luke Skywalker. And then I started roaming around the map, and I was like getting everything, and I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna play this anymore.
There's nothing wrong with
it.
Oh, were you about to say anything?
Yeah, I do enjoy a collectathon here. Like, it brings me back to like when I was a kid on PS1. Some notable ones being like I mean, your typical ones like Spyro, I think would be under that same kind of realm. Although, you know, some things in that game might be a little more difficult than what Mark's describing. But there was one, funny enough, I actually really enjoyed. It was a Shrek game on PS1, and it was like a similar model to like uh the Spyro games or like Crash Bandicoot type style, or no, not sorry, Banjo-Kazooie type style. It was really fun, and it was just like your goal is to collect all the shit, aside from beating the game. So that could be fun.
Nice. I think eventually I'll go back and play this in a time where I don't have so much shit to play. One of the main reasons I didn't end up playing this the past couple weeks was I didn't want to get burnt out on Star Wars because next week Outlaws comes out. So I was trying to pace myself because that is genuinely something that's happened a lot. Like with all the Disney shows and like all the games they've been making, there are points where I kind of hit like exhaustion with it. I remember Jedi Survivor when that came out. They just had like 2 shows prior, and I'm like, I'm not feeling the Star Wars right now. There's just it's like kind of the same with like Marvel. Like it kind of gets exhausting after a bit. I like having long gaps between them and all that, give it time to breathe. But like Mark had me at easy and platinum, so like it's always a quick way to my heart, right there.
The main thing is just like time. That's the most difficult part, is just putting the time in. But like it isn't even like once you clear through the game, it doesn't take too long to fully clear out an area. It's not too bad at all.
As somebody who spent 6 hours on Lord of the Rings Gollum, clearly I don't value my time. So. All right. Any final thoughts on this before we move on?
Oh god.
All right. Next up is Concord. So sadly I've only played I think 2 hours of Concord. And it's just mainly because I'm just so fucking hooked on Black Myth that finding the motivation to play Concord is very hard. Like I definitely set my goal to like try to get a couple hours in to get an idea of how it feels with the full game. The gameplay is very smooth. It's very fluid. One of the unique things about it is it kind of promotes swapping between characters. So like for your free gunners, there are like 16 different characters you can pick. So when you go into a match, say I pick this person, I'll unlock better stability with my gun. Then I swap over to another character. I then keep that one bonus, and I unlock increased range on my gun. There are 6 potential bonuses that you can get, like reload, stuff like that. That all like hit a max when you swap between these characters, which in principle is really cool and unique. But at the same time, being fresh into the game, like the problem was like I'm not used to any of these characters, and I'm like I'm trying to load into one match and play 6 different characters instead of specifically learning one character. So I kind of settled on, all right, I'm gonna learn this character, and then I started learning the second character who like each share different traits. So it's like it's kind of I have like a mindset of like I'm leveling up my playstyle with 6 different characters to really optimize my build in PvP. So I like it just because you don't really see something like that in PvP shooters that like really have you like think out your character loadouts and just like perfect harmony between these characters. I do feel really bad for the developers right now because I don't know if you guys have been up to date on like the Steam concurrent numbers. Like since it launched, the highest concurrent it reached was like 690 people. So like, yeah, like less than Lord of the Rings Gollum, like at its all-time peak. I feel really bad, like, but I do understand it is the negative of it being a $40 barrier of entry, right? Like you're asking people to invest in the game that where a lot of PvP shooters nowadays have taken the free to play route. To this game's credit so far, there's no monetization. No like you're not there's no microtransactions. And I think that is currently a part of their goal, but I think eventually they're gonna have to pivot and make this like free to play because like they can't sustain the game. I don't know, like hopefully the PlayStation numbers are much better than the Steam numbers are right now, but it really does suck because it is a really smooth game. I really enjoy playing it. It's not necessarily something I would like necessarily recommend for like you guys, like especially with like how it's performing right now. It's hard for me to be like, hey, spend money on this when like a month or two from now it might be free to play with them shifting their whole focus, right? But I do feel for the development team in that scenario because it's not like Lord of the Rings Gollum, where that game is just a pure shit show. Like this is a really smooth, well-performing first-person shooter that just unfortunately hasn't gotten the traction and is just not performing well. But with all that being said, John, what are your thoughts on Concord?
For me to play a hero shooter, and I'm not going to say like Overwatch, for example, it needs to be something recognizable to me, and it needs to be free to play. Overwatch kind of was my first hero shooter. That's the reason I got into it. It was like, oh, something new. I'm going to try this. Whereas like Marvel Rivals, for example, is all recognizable characters. I'm interested in it. It's going to be free to play. So yeah, the price point of Concord kind of turned me away from it a bit. And the fact that it's just kind of like silly humor, and you know, I don't know. I can't see myself getting into it. If they make it free to play, I'll probably try it out, but yeah, there's just no interest for me.
No, that's totally fair. And like I think that right there is like further proof to like that barrier of entry just really causing issues for it right now. Mark, what are your thoughts on it?
Kind of similar to John. Like I've heard about this game a couple of times. I've seen a couple of things, and like it looks cool, but it doesn't exactly pique any particular interest in me to like drive me to play it. And the fact that I would have to pay $40, it's just like free to play. Yeah, 100%. I'd try it. Like if you're playing it and stuff like that, so I'd 100% try it if it was free to play. But like, yeah, as like a game that I have absolutely no interest in and like have not kept up with anything on it. Unfortunately, it's just not my cup of tea, and it may have just been an unfortunate time for them to release that game with everything else coming out. Who knows? But I mean, like, hopefully it does do better, because from what you're saying, it does sound like they put a like legitimate work into it. So hopefully it does kind of get an upturn. But for me, that's going to be a no.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. Yeah, like as someone who's played a good chunk of shooters, like there's quality to like the gameplay, the gunplay, and like the character diversity in terms of like they offer with like each of their things. I will say, yeah, a big thing that kind of hurts it is I find some of the characters are interesting, like in terms of like how they look, but then I find others are kind of bland. Like there's like this astronaut looking character who has like a rocket launcher that just I was just kind of like it kind of looks like you pulled them from like Risk of Rain or something and just like made them like a bonus character. But like I'm curious if like in a free to play rework they potentially rework character designs for certain people to try to make it eventually more appealing as well. Anthony, I know PvP is a rare thing for you to play, like, you know, Destiny got into that, and then you were playing Rivals with us. Like, what are your thoughts on Concord?
Well, so obviously the fact that it's PvP and there's a pay gate just to experience it, I'm obviously not going to be playing it. But now keep this in mind, like this opinion I have is coming from someone who doesn't play PvP games. My only experience with hero shooters is the Marvel Rivals closed beta. Okay, but the systems you were describing, Chris, while you were saying it is interesting, it honestly doesn't make sense to me because I understand the concept of a hero shooter and why people they find their character, right? Like that's my character, like Luna Snow, that's my character, right? And they intentionally design a system to force you to have to play other characters. That just, to be honest, like that just doesn't sound like good game design to me. Like why make a hero shooter that promotes you to be better at it, or sorry, that forces you to play other characters for you to play as like optimally, you know? I guess you could choose not to, but then at that point you would, it sounds like these benefits could be substantial enough that you really got to utilize them, right? Cuz like how much of the stability were you getting from that would be transferred? Like, was it a significant amount? You know, like are these?
I wouldn't say it's game breaking because
No,
like I said, I started focusing more on like one character. So like I was playing, say,
until
one character, and I was performing better just because, well, one, I was getting more comfortable with that character, but two, just I think th're just like slight benefits. Like it's like yeah, just like slight
it's so
benefits.
okay. That's not as egregious then. It still is an interesting, like you said, it like you applaud them, like you said, you applaud them because it's different. But let's be honest, right? Different isn't always good, right?
Mhm.
And in my opinion, the idea of that in a hero shooter where generally people are going to have their mains, um, I just don't think that's a great feature, in my opinion. But if you're saying it's not, it's more of a minimal thing, probably you're probably only gonna, the way you're describing it now, it's probably only gonna be relevant at the highest tier, right? Where, you know, milliseconds of damage make a difference.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, it does suck. Like, I do feel bad for them as well. I think ultimately, I think this is one of those games that just fell victim to, um, they came up with the idea at a time when this genre was popping off, and by the time they see the fruits of the labor, that genre is now so oversaturated that they have to be the best version of that genre to really gain any traction, because there's just so many options in that genre nowadays. And yeah, that $40 price point is not helping at all, unfortunately.
No, that's totally true. Because like it's very different. I think a good versus is Helldivers 2. That had like the $50 price point, but like that's a PvE game, right? So like that's open to a much bigger audience. It has like much more appealing things. Where this, you're only drawing in people who are like, hey, I'm just committed to playing PvP. Like like my approach was when picking this up was just like, hey, it's just something I can run a couple matches every now and then, kind of change it up. Which like as of right now, at least until Black Ops comes out, I think this will be that game to kind of like fuck around with the PvP. Um, but yeah, it's tough because yeah, like we said, like I think a good example with the hero shooters is we got Rivals coming, Overwatch 2. Both of those, like Overwatch 2 is a while back, but both of those are free to play, and those are big standout things. So like you want this $40 title that doesn't have much of a foundation to stand on to compete with these like iconic franchises that are, hey, like, hey, it's free. Like it's it's unfortunately, I think it's just outside source, or like the like with like Sony, it's like they've been kind of set up to fail right now. I feel like
Mhm.
back when Overwatch 2 was announced, they should have pivoted to like a free to play format, because like that was a while ago. So I think there would have been enough time for them to like change up the whole systems through it. But
Yeah, it makes me think of when I was watching that footage recently of the two guys making Plucky Squire, how they had talked about they didn't disclose what it was, but they were making a completely different game with these assets, and then someone else, a bigger studio, probably one of the, bigger names, released a game pretty much the exact kind of stuff they were making, and instead of just choosing to, well, let's just finish our game anyways, they did what you just said. They completely pivoted, and that's where Plucky Squire came from. So maybe they should have done something like that. But it's too late now. I think what they really should do is figure out a way to transition to free to play. Because the other games have in-game purchases, but they're just skins most of the time. It's not changing the gameplay in any way besides your visual. You don't have to buy them. Just go down that route. If it's not too late for them. Because honestly, it kind of seems like it might be.
It'll be interesting to see, because if they do the thing where hey, we're gonna go free to play, how do you compensate the people who have paid that entry fee, right? Maybe give them a shit ton of the currency for the free to play format, and a battle pass for a couple free battle passes or something, because it's almost way back with the 3DS. I don't know if you all remember, a couple months, I think it was 6 months after the 3DS released, they dropped the price significantly, but as a make good, they released 20 GBA games for those people who had the 3DS at the time, to be hey, we know you got the shit end of the stick, but here's some value to kind of balance it out. I think that's what they need to do, is find that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not trying to knock them here, but to a benefit, if they were to take that route, is it's pretty clear the pre-sales for this were not very high. So the people they would have to honor in that method, it's not like they would be losing a ton of money going down that route.
Oh yeah, we're not talking about a lot.
Yeah. So
I am kind of curious to see
the sales numbers.
Yeah, just because concurrents are one thing. I will say PvP, it is competing with Black Myth just came out, right? And that's doing massive numbers. There are I even said I would be playing this game more if I wasn't so hooked on that. But again, not trying to make excuses. It's just I'm curious. The concurrent doesn't say the total isn't the total sales for the game, right? We don't know the exact number. I am curious just to see where this is at in sales, right?
That is a good point too with Black Myth. I would say give it maybe we could, unless we have more to talk about on it on Concord next week. I'd say we revisit it in 2 weeks. Once a lot of people are done with Black Myth Wukong, they finished the game, they did their platinum, whatever, to see, because I'm sure a lot of people in your case, Chris, or might be in a similar boat where they're trying to wrap up Black Myth before they really dive head on into testing out Concord, which could be a big result in why the numbers are so low.
Yeah, I'm curious where it'll be at. But the one thing too is we talked a couple weeks back about Avowed, right? How it was delayed. It was delayed where I was saying I felt it shouldn't have been delayed because of the busy. They said it's a busy release schedule. This should have been delayed because think about this just Sony exclusives right now. Black Myth comes out a day later, Concord comes out, and a week and a half after that, Astrobot comes out. So it's just you just squish this in the middle of two very heavy hitters.
They're different kinds of games, but we're seeing it more and more these days. Gamers play multitudes of genres. They're not. I'm kind of unique where I'm not like you guys. I play these 3 genres and that's it, right? But most people play almost all the genres to some degree. At least a dozen different genres. So I agree with you. They should have moved it.
Yeah, I think October. I think would have been. No, because Black Ops would have. Honestly, this should have been a month ago. There wasn't really much going on a month ago. I think it might have done better a month ago. All right, but any final thoughts on Concord before we move on? All right, so next up, some pretty massive news came from Gamescom this week. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle launches December 9th on Xbox and PC, and it will also launch on PlayStation in spring 2025. So huge news because like that was an Xbox exclusive that is now just like a timed exclusive. They also had a preview roundup. This comes from Shinobi602. You can feel the DNA of Chronicles of Riddick and Wolfenstein games. Surprisingly, a bit like Hitman and stealth systems and the way levels are designed. Linear storyline, but there are open areas which include side characters, hidden secrets, added rewards, and photo opportunities. The whip. Useful combat tool, can drag onrushing Nazis in a fight and can be used to grab objects in the environment, smash them, swing them, or use them as climbing rope. Skills. There are dozens to unlock, but not through a traditional skill tree. You'll find skill books hidden in the world, each of which open up the ability to unlock a new skill. One skill book teaches Indy true grit. For example, this one like lets him take a final blow in a fight, but then he retrieves his hat, dusts himself off, and keeps fighting. So it's kind of like a instant revive. UI is very light for true immersion in a fight. Fist fighting is a mix of punches, dodges, grabs, pushes, blocks, and parries, with the aim of breaking down an enemy's defenses until you can deliver a custom finisher. For tougher fights, Indy also has his revolver to finish off a quick threat. Though ammo is limited, as well as temporarily grab enemy weapons like a machine gun. So yeah, this was like huge news just because this is one of Xbox's big exclusives, and now we know it's coming to PlayStation. I still plan on playing it. Like obviously, I got Game Pass to play this, but now more and more things are kind of happening where I regret stockpiling Game Pass. Like Avowed got delayed. This is going to PlayStation, so I could try to get the platinum on PlayStation. Honestly, I could have just got Call of Duty on PlayStation at this point, but you live and you learn. I think that's an important takeaway from this. But yeah, I'm excited for this. Like the whole true grit thing is amazing, just because like that's trademark Indy, the getting up, dusting himself off, getting back into the fight. I'm really excited for this. The Chronicles of Riddick games back in the days were really dope. Was it like Escape from Butcher Bay, or I think on the 360, and I think it was like a remaster of like an original Xbox game. But no, I'm very excited for this. If the trophies are pretty reasonable, I definitely will be getting the platinum for this. That being said, now that you three, well, technically Anthony could play it, you've got the Xbox, but like now that it's coming to PlayStation, Mark, what are your thoughts on this?
100% get it if it comes to PlayStation. It sounds like a fun game. Literally the only reason I never even looked into it. I'm like, Xbox exclusive? That's fine. They can keep it. If it comes to PlayStation, yeah, I'll definitely give it a look. I mean, Indiana Jones is a great character, and I'm sure they can make a pretty fun game with, some like nice rune exploration, indie shenanigans, and just whipping out a pistol and shooting a guy after he does a big sword flare. So yeah, it's it's good to see that one of the things I know at least I've said on this several times is like, just start releasing shit on both things. Make it a timed thing. So like, oh, you want to play it right away? Sure. You have to play it on our system though, but like 6 months, a year, fucking like, even that, like who gives a shit? Like release it on the other thing, and then you have a whole new audience who probably wants to play it but didn't want to buy your system. So to me, that just makes sense. That's the next logical step, and it's good to see them actually starting to like do that a little bit.
Yeah, honestly, and well, especially because Indie is a Disney property now, right? And like they're paying for a license, so you got to imagine it's a hefty license. Like, but and Xbox only has Xbox definitely has the smaller install base in terms of next gen consoles compared to like PlayStation, Switch, and on top of that, how many people are playing it via Game Pass, right? With PlayStation,
Yeah,
people are paying the full price to play it, so they're making more money back off of it. So yeah, it makes perfect sense. I'm curious what we see next coming to PlayStation. Like is Avowed or Starfield next up in the announcements? I don't know. I'm still mad at Avowed though because it got delayed. But Anthony, what are your thoughts on Indie?
I mean, what's happening right now is really cool. Love to see it. Even if it's a timed exclusive format, still the fact that we will get it is great. Because I mean, we know eventually especially with this happening so much sooner than I thought, that we're not very far from this becoming, I think, a main approach to their game releases. I mean, maybe not so much like Halo properties or something, but who knows? Like that Gears of War game, right? Like that. There's a real possibility that that goes to PlayStation not too long after. As far as the game itself, I was never a big indie fan. Granted, I haven't really seen the movies, so not to say I dislike indie. I'm just not a fan because I just don't have. I've never consumed the content, so it doesn't really stand out too much to me in that regard. Though the gameplay does look really cool. I could see a world where I try it. It's just I probably wouldn't buy it, even like a sale price. Like it'd have to be pretty cheap for me to buy it. So it'd probably be pretty far down the line when it's like really, really cheap on the PlayStation. Obviously.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Let me just say this about Indy. He's an archaeologist. He's got a dope hat. He's got wit. He doesn't like snakes. Punches Nazis. What more do you need?
Well, I am to some degree a bit German, so
I was gonna say, what were you about to? I was just like, where are you going? Where are you going? but yeah. John, what are your thoughts on this?
I know baby steps and all. Like this is big news, but like first person indie game, make this shit VR. Like PlayStation, fight
Man,
for it.
that would be good.
Fight for it. I can't wait to go and whip and accidentally like hit my girlfriend as she's walking by. Like
accidentally.
This is becoming a really edgy podcast, by the way. We're canceled after this episode.
When Sean's away, we just let it loose. That's the key.
We gotta balance it out.
Make it VR, man. Like I want to swing from shit. I want to see those spiders. I want to see those snakes. Oh my god.
Well, I mean, Bethesda as a studio has history of their games going VR. You got Fallout and Skyrim, right?
Even if it's just PC, like I'll get the adapter for that.
Yeah, no, that would be pretty dope.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts on this before we move on? All right.
I don't think I got anything else.
All right, next up. Marvel Rivals finally has a release date. So 2 new characters were announced. Captain America will be a Vanguard. Winter Soldier will be a duelist. Marvel Rivals will fully launch on December 6th, 2024. All heroes unlocked and free to play at launch and beyond. So no new characters will be locked behind paywalls. They're free. And I kind of put this in here myself because it's kind of wishful thinking. We've yet to see an open beta for Marvel Rivals, so we could potentially see that sometime before December to kind of help get that fix in a little bit more before it fully launches. John, what are your thoughts on this?
Hell yeah. I can't wait. Even if the characters were behind a paywall, I would buy the shit out of them. I want this game so bad. And I'm glad that they decided to release it in December and not fucking Q1, Q2 in 2025. Like this, I need this. So I'm beyond excited. Captain America and Winter Soldier, fantastic choices for characters, and I can't wait to play as America's ass.
Hell yeah.
Anthony, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, that's great because I think weren't we operating off originally that it was like 2025?
Yep.
But yeah, that's great, man. Like I had a good time. Again, it's not something I could see myself maining as like as my main multiplayer game every week, but or like probably every week. I think I could see myself playing it, just not like how I treat Destiny and stuff like that. But it was fun enough where I would 100% to be down like every Friday night or Saturday night. Like that's the game that we get together to play. Because it's just a fun enough time where I can, crack a beer or two and just game for like 3 or 4 hours. And just knowing that we were going to be waiting like, you know, into next year for to experience that again kind of sucked. So it's great to know we're really only like a couple months away, 3 months, whatever. What was it, December?
Yeah, yeah.
December,
December
yeah.
5th.
So like almost just over 3 months away. I can't do math right now, but X amount of months away, whatever.
December
Yeah, I'm looking
6th.
forward to it.
Yeah, I said 5th. December 6th.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, yeah. So I look forward to playing that, and I definitely jump back into that with you guys. Yeah.
Mark.
Anthony, okay, you say it's not going to become your main like multiplayer game, but like imagine Battle Pass, end of the Battle Pass, Scarlet Witch bikini.
Yeah,
Skin.
so that
You just sold it.
will
You just sold it.
the
I'm in.
the variable that determines the frequency per week that I play will be their approach to the battle pass system and the cosmetics, 100%. And because we know we don't have to unlock the characters, we're just gonna get them for free. So they're obviously just gonna be skins. Even like I'm down to grind if there's a really cool nameplate or whatever they call it in this game. From there too, like I'm down to grind for like cosmetics. Like that is the end game of any game to me, cosmetics. So who knows? I still don't see myself playing it solo, but who knows? If we do get a bikini Scarlet Witch, I would be playing that shit solo. Even if nobody was on, I would still do it.
All right, Mark, what are your thoughts on this?
I'm pretty excited. They knew that I liked it, and they're like, you know what, we got to give him a birthday gift we missed last year. So here you go. They knew I have to get back to my boy Jeff. I gotta spray water all over people. Gotta heal them. Gotta throw bubbles everywhere. Gotta eat the enemies. It's I really appreciate them looking out for me like that. So it definitely will be getting thrown on to my PlayStation the moment it's out, and I'm looking forward to playing with you guys and just experiencing that fun shenanigans again.
Just can't wait to be reunited. My boy Venom, I miss him, like I'm worried about him in a minute, but yeah, I don't. With all things said, like we're not paying for the game, so we're not paying for the characters. So like they're super like focus. They gotta be super focused on doing a bunch of dope cosmetics to kind of push the sales that way. Because at the end of the day, it's a corporation. They want to make money, so skins, cosmetics, player cards, like that's where they're gonna probably focus, and we'll probably be seeing some dope cosmetics come through that store. So I'm definitely excited for that. I'm glad I totally called it with Cap being a Vanguard. I knew that shield would make him tanky. I was not expecting Winter Soldier to be having like those little tendrils come out of his arm. I was just like,
It's an anime hentai shit right there.
I want to see some one-on-ones between Winter Soldier and Venom, if you know what I mean. Like,
Get spicy.
Now we're talking.
Oh, jeez.
All right.
Get Jeff in there. Start turn into what's it called? Like those mud wrestles.
Jeff has been known to swallow, so he would fit in. So
Yeah, he doesn't discriminate.
All right. Any final thoughts on this before we move on?
Put it in your mouth, or Jeff will.
All right. Next up, we just got Gamescom Talk, just stuff that was talked about and revealed this week. I know not everybody watches it, so I have a list of things just to go over that are kind of notable that might catch your interest. So the Fable creator reveals Masters of Albion, a top-down management sim where you play as a god to the world you build and manage. Players can also switch to third-person mode and control characters in combat. Borderlands 4 got a teaser trailer, 2025 as a release year. There were hands-on playable demos at Gamescom for Monster Hunter Wilds. Still no official release date, though. Genshin Impact is going to Xbox. Dune Awakening showed off its first look at gameplay. Dying Like the Beast was announced. It's a new standalone zombie adventure offering more than 20 hours of gameplay. Features the return of Kyle Crane from the first game. Goat Simulator is getting a remaster. Extended look at Black Ops 6 campaign. Path of the Exile 2 gets a November 15th release date for early access. Starfield gets a vehicle update and release date for Shattered Space. Shattered Space launches September 30th. It's horror-driven and combat-intensive. It's a self-contained plot on a single planet. Abandoned sci-fi corridors plagued by grim beasts, fear-like atmosphere, a handcrafted world, new weapons, new gear, new items, etc. Secret level reveal. Tim Miller, the director of the first Deadpool movie and Love, Death, and Robots, announced this new anthology series set in the world of various games, including Dungeons & Dragons, The Outer Worlds, Pac-Man, and many more. Mafia: The Old Country revealed, expected December 2024, set in the 1900s. Mark, how you feeling with this?
Just excited. Really excited. There's a lot of information you just threw out there, but the only one that I can now think of, because you mentioned it again, is the secret level. Because, like, holy fuck, was that trailer so good? It was everything I didn't even know this thing was existed. My cousin sent me the link to it. I was like, oh, I saw the it started off with Warhammer 40K. I'm like, oh, is this what Henry Cavill's making? What the fuck? And then it transitioned to something where I'm like, oh, what the fuck's going on? I was in. I was 100% in. I'm so excited for that. My mind has literally blanked on everything else that you said. Can you just give me the titles?
Okay, Fable creators, Masters of Albion, Borderlands 4,
Okay.
Monster Hunter Wilds demos, Dune Awakening, Dying Like the Beast was announced, Goat Simulator Remastered, Path of Exile 2 Early Access, Starfield. Actually, you know what, Starfield, you just actually counterpicked the expansion, right? I think.
Yes.
So what are your thoughts now that we have some like info on the expansion? How are you feeling about that?
My thoughts were everything else looks really good. Fuck. I'll pick the one thing that everybody says it looks like it's going to be shit. That was my thought on counterpicking it.
I feel like a lot of people after the fact mostly look back negatively at Starfield, so it was probably a decent pick, I would say. I don't think it's going to score terribly by any means, but I think it was probably a decent pick out of what's available.
As long as it doesn't get like a 90, whatever.
Yeah, I think it'll
100.
still do well. I just don't. Yeah, I don't think it'll break those numbers.
It is what it is. Maybe this is just Anthony's year, because I slept on, because like there were some was like
metaphor is gonna fuck me so hard.
Yeah, but here's the thing, like Avowed, I looked at that thing like 7 different times. I'm like, I should counterpick this. Like it looks pretty decent, but like I don't know if it's coming out. I should counterpick this. And I didn't. So this is on me. This is my penance. I have to pick that one. Hopefully it's absolute fucking flaming garbage, and I get a bunch of points from it. But I don't think we're going to get that. But the other ones, the Albion one, did you say that was going to be a mobile game?
So it's going to be, as of right now, just on PC. I could see it going to console.
Okay. Some reason I heard mobile game. I'm like, that sounds dope as fuck for a mobile game. Okay, so that one does sound pretty cool. The Dying Light one kind of also piqued my interest. We'll see on that one. Like I enjoyed the other one, so I'll probably end up getting that one. But yeah, the main takeaway from that is the secret level, because holy shit, is that going to be fucking absolutely amazing. And if it's not, delete this.
Just gonna clip this and just post this everywhere. But no, I'm excited for that because one of the episodes is supposed to be like all PlayStation IP. It's like Kratos, Jin from
Oh, it
those.
looks so good.
But John, what are your thoughts on Gamescom and everything we've seen?
So oddly enough, like you piqued my interest at Monster Hunter, and you piqued my interest at Borderlands, and then you talk about the secret level, and I fucking love anthology series. Love, Death, and Robots was amazing. It's like still to date one of my favorite shows. Like I could go back and watch any episode and love it still. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but I highly recommend it. Um, just seeing what they did with that, and then placing video game characters into something like that. Oh fuck, I can't wait. That'll be amazing. Otherwise, I don't have any other interest in anything else. So,
all right, Anthony, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I was definitely hyped for Borderlands 4. Apparently, through some form of tweets, it was hinted at Borderlands 4 was in the works. But I don't follow really social media, so my first learning of Borderlands 4 was that trailer. And as I'm watching, I'm like, is this Borderlands? But I'm looking at like the art style, and I'm like, well, no, like it's not. Like it's, I'm like, oh, but that, yeah, like maybe it is. And then it wasn't literally up until when he turns the mask around. I'm like, it fucking is. Like, yeah, fucking, I can't wait, dude. And then people, I don't know if you've seen online, people hypothesizing that Handsome Jack might make a return or something. I mean, most, like, I don't know if I believe that, but I don't even know if I'd want that. Like, I want, like, Borderlands 2, like, just leave, I don't know. Anyways, that's a totally different discussion. So, yeah, Borderlands 4, definitely hyped for that. 2025 release date. We got to assume it's probably late 2025. But the sooner the better, because that'll be real great. Um, Path of Exile 2, November, I think it said. Yeah, November for early access. I'm definitely going to buy that if the early access is also on the PS5, which I think it might be, because they don't specify that it's not. Like, they don't specify PC only for it, so at least from what I was looking at. So I will 100% buy that early access unless it's like egregiously expensive, which I guess is a possibility. There was something else. I'm blanking here. Read me that list back, Chris.
Okay, I'll read it backwards. Mafia, Secret Level, Starfield, Shattered Space. You already talked about Path of Exile, Black Ops Campaign, Goat Simulator Remaster.
I think there's one more.
Dying Light Beast, Dune Awakening.
Dune Awakening, that's what it is. Yeah, so I've had some interest in this game for a while. I've been kind of following it. I'm still interested in trying it, and it looks great. Like, it's really what I kind of am expecting from the game. The only caveat I'm just unsure about is like if it's going to be limited to online servers only, or if it's going to offer things like think of a game like Power World, for example, where you have the official online supported servers where just anybody else can be in that world too, or you could just opt to host your own world where the world's only active when you open it, and then when you close the game, it closes. If that's not an option, I don't know if I want to play, because I don't want to have to deal with what people deal with in those games online. Getting attacked, raided, or people just griefing and you know. So I'm unsure. I'll have to kind of see what the feel is when that game officially like comes out and people are playing it, what the sentiment is. But it does really interest me, and I do really hope that it gives you the option to just play like how John, how me, you, and Sean are going to potentially be playing Valheim later this week, where it's just the three of us in our own world and there's nobody else. That's kind of what I'm looking for in this game. Even if I have to play it by myself, I'm fine with that. But if I got to worry about running into people that just want to kill me for no reason, I don't know if I'll jump into it, but it's still on my radar. So those are probably the main takes from. There's a couple small things like Chris. You sent me a clip for that. One second, I added it to my wish list.
Oh,
Pull
was it Fields of Mysteria or something like that?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I was looking at that. It's actually on sale right now, I think too. I'm gonna look more into that because like the surface of it, like the trailer, it does interest me. So I might check that one out sooner rather than later, depending. Or well, actually at this rate, probably not till October, since I'm trying to cut back on gaming a bit this coming month.
Yeah,
And yeah, that's about it.
for context, Fields of Mysteria is like a very like it's supposed to be like very Stardew like for those who haven't heard of it. So for anyone who kind of like those games, you might dig that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think it's a bit. Is it available now, or is it only wish list?
I think it's out now, just on PC though. Yeah, early
Oh,
access. Yeah,
Right. Okay.
yeah, yeah. For me, yeah, Borderlands. Definitely excited for that. Monster Hunter Wilds. Although I'm kind of like at the point where like with Monster Hunter Wilds, I'm excited for it, but it's just like don't tell me about it anymore until you say the release date. 'Cause I'm fucking
I
annoyed.
agree.
Like it's
They're
just
showing
like
it everywhere.
Yeah.
like okay, we get it. Like when's it coming out? Like Dying Light the Beast. I'm kind of into like a shorter Dying Light experience. And big thing about this is it actually has guns at the launch, unlike the fucking two where like they just had like one or two that you could get. The one thing I was telling Anthony and Sean when we were watching the stream is I'm very excited for Black Ops 6, but I get really annoyed with Call of Duty games because they show way too much every time one's coming out. Because it's like, you know, Call of Duty's coming out, you know, it's going to sell. You don't have to keep showing campaign. You don't have to keep showing all this shit. Like, it's overdone. I do plan on giving Starfield another shot when Shattered Space comes out, because when it launched I bought the upgrade that gives you access to like the DLC. So I won't have to pay for anything because it's already paid for. So I think with that, the vehicles and like the 60 frames, I don't know, maybe I'll enjoy the experience more this go around and kind of get into it. And yeah, as what was said about Secret Level, like the amount of like what the fuck when I watched that trailer, like when I saw like Kratos and all that, it was like Mega Man, like it's just like this shit's gonna be fucking wild. Yeah, I can't wait for that. I'm kind of interested in. I gotta see more, but I've never been a Mafia guy, but I like the setting and like the concept of the new Mafia game. That it's kind of piqued my interest. But, all right, any final thoughts on Gamescom before we move on? Final topic
From me.
All right, last up. What are you looking forward to playing in September? So I got a list of all the notable things coming out this month. There is a lot of shit coming out this month. I put August 30th Star Wars Outlaws because that's pretty much you're playing that in September, right? So you might as well count it. The casting of Frank Stone, September 3rd. Harry Potter Quidditch Champion, September 3rd, which will be free on PS Plus, if I remember correctly. Age of Mythology Retold, September 4th. Astrobot, September 6th. Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2, September 9th. Towerborn Early Access on PC, September 10th. Lollipop Chainsaw Repop, September 12th. Funko Fusion, September 13th. That is literally just halfway through September. Right there.
Lollipop.
Yeah. All right. Final Fantasy 16 on PC, September 17th. The Plucky Squire, September 17th. Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster, September 19th. Frostpunk 2 PC, September 20th. Aria History Untold, September 24th. Greedfall 2, The Dying World Early Access, September 24th. Disney Epic Mickey Rebrushed, September 24th. Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, September 26th. Starfield Shattered Space, September 30th. Jesus Christ. John, what are you looking forward to playing in September?
Well, like I said, I'll probably end up getting Black Myth Wukong by then. But you just reminded me that the Lollipop Chainsaw remaster is coming out, so I'm probably gonna get that too. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna be playing.
Will you be playing either Quidditch or Plucky Squire, since those will be on PS
Plucky,
Plus?
Plucky Squire, yeah, definitely. Maybe Quidditch. I don't know. I'll have to see.
We'll get
Maybe
the
I'll
boys.
get bored.
We'll get the boys together, fly around on some brooms. You know.
It's
Boom boys.
never wanted anything more in my life.
All right.
Oh, jeez.
Mark, what are you looking forward to playing in September?
I'm looking forward to Warhammer. Going to be crushing some Tyranids under my boot because they are pure heresy, and we can't allow that in our galaxy. And yeah, honestly, I've been super excited. Like I was like kind of on a middle ground with this game, but everything I've seen so far, I'm just so excited for this game now, and I'm going to platinum it. You can quote me on this one. It will be platinumed.
Respect. Calling the shot before you even see the list. I respect it. As for me, Outlaws, I'll be playing that. I'm definitely gonna check out Quidditch Champions, Age of Mythology Retold. I'm definitely gonna check out Astrobot. I got that pre-ordered. Can't wait. And I played the shit out of the built-in game that came with the PS5. Warhammer 40k down the line, like that'll be on a sale maybe November-ish for me. I went through Keymailer and requested a key for Funko Fusion because the game does not look great. But part of it's like Gollum all over again. I'm intrigued, you know, like I'm curious how that goes. Plucky Squire, it'll be on the PlayStation Plus catalog, so I'll definitely might as well try that out. Dead Rising, I got that pre-ordered, ready to go. Yeah, and then Shattered Space. Yeah, like fucking September is gonna be a lot of shit to play. Fucking Jesus. But all right, Anthony, you've got a different plan. You've hinted at it throughout the podcast for September. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so I'm planning more than just this, but I'm planning for the month of September to not game. At the very least, I know I mentioned potentially making some exceptions here and there, like playing some sessions with my kid here and there. But we'll see. Like that's the intention. See how far I can get. I'm pretty confident at least the first 2 weeks, because I got a lot to do outside of gaming right now. You know, just in my personal life. So depending how the first 2 weeks go, that'll kind of really determine whether I'm going to continue it full swing or start to slip in some exceptions here and there. We'll see, but I'm pretty confident at least in the first 2 weeks because it is something hard to do. Like gaming is such a big part of my life, so I want to see if I can do it. Because it's like I've been gaming for like fucking 20 years, you know, longer. So, however, though, like there are some games like if I was gaming this month, I would want to, and that's Lollipop Chainsaw. I did not realize that was coming out this month. So I'm interested in that. The Space Marines game also really interests me. But one thing too, it's not on the list, and it might not come September, but we were told summer 2024 for the PS5 version of the Wayfinder Echoes game, and it's still not here. And as of like a month ago, the transition of the licensing from Digital Extremes to Airship Syndicate for the game were completed on Sony's end. But I did read that I guess they couldn't submit it as like an update to the game because it was such a big update. They have to resubmit it to PlayStation as a whole, like a new game. So that's probably why. But anyways, it would be nice to see that because it does say summer 2024 that we're supposed to get it. So part of me hopes it doesn't come out in September because I already own it, so I don't have to pay for it when it comes out, and I've been waiting to play it, so I'm going to have a real hard time not jumping in on that. But Yeah, I might make exception at least for a night too, Chris. If there's enough of you guys that want to fuck around with the Quidditch game,
Yeah.
I'll jump in for an evening for that.
The boys are gonna go tear up that Quidditch court.
Boys.
It's Leviosa, bitch.
Oh fuck, that's good.
I genuinely don't know what to expect with it, but
Yeah,
honestly, I think we'll have a fucking fun time. I totally just opened up Spotify on that on the window I'm recording right now. So you might see random song lists in like the fucking in like the windows of your guys' webcams.
Just like the Harry Potter theme
Yeah.
for some reason.
Oh, man. Oh, you know what? I will say something I'm kind of excited about that's not gaming related, just because and since I just opened up Spotify, that the Disney Punk album that comes out in September, they have a lot of heavy hitter bands on there, like Simple Plan, Magnolia Park, Bowling for Soup. I think Newfound Glory was in there. Like, oh, that'll be a go to like gaming playlist for me for a bit for sure. When I'm chilling out, playing games, listening to music.
Nice.
All right, boys. You could debate. We made it successfully through this episode. I don't know, like we've we've played a risky game a couple times. All right, I'm Chris. That's John.
Excuse me.
Anthony.
See ya.
And Mark.
Bye bye.
Lots of white.